Conspiracy theories. They're all around us, some of the most commonly believed ones being that Bush did 9/11, the Earth is flat, the government is hiding aliens in Area 51, and the Holocaust wasn't real. Conspiracy theories aren't always wrong, and in fact some of them have been proven to be true, such as the Watergate scandal with Nixon. Conspiracy theories are beliefs that an event is caused by some sort of evil motives, sinister actions, or corporations trying to get ahead. In reality, our brains tend to go down a rabbit hole of believing this due to proportionality bias, the belief that large events have to have large causes, and confirmation bias, our tendency to focus on information that confirms our pre-existing knowledge about a subject. Now, have you ever stopped and thought to yourself, is Finland real? Probably not, but Reddit poster Rarigan seems to have proof that it doesn't. In a post 4 years ago, user Rarigan responds to the prompt, "What did your parents show you to do that you assumed was completely normal, only to later discover that it was not normal at all?" Their response? Oh god, here goes. Well, firstly, they say that the actual place of Finland is just eastern Sweden. Helsinki is in eastern Sweden, and when people fly there, it's not like they would notice. World maps are altered as it's a UN conspiracy to keep people believing in Finland. And the idea that an entire country is made up seems so bizarre that nobody would ever believe it, making it easy to do. Finland's main company, Nokia, is apparently owned by the Japanese, and they're a main player in this. Now, as for why people would want to invent Finland as a country, that's a bit more in-depth, and there's a few reasons as to why Sweden and Russia go along with it, but it's mostly to do with Japanese fishing rights. You see, the Japanese love their sushi, but tight fishing regulations and public outcry mean that they can't fish as much as they want. So after the Cold War, they agreed with Russia to create a landmass called Finland where they could fish. After all, if people thought there was a country there, nobody would expect the Japanese to be harpooning whales, would they? The fish is then transported through Russia, where a small percentage of the food is given to the population. They were, of course, starving at the time of Finland being invented. And then this is shipped to Japan under the disguise of Nokia products. Japan is apparently one of the largest importers of Nokia products, despite the fact that nobody there owns a Nokia phone, apparently. The crux of all of this, and my favorite part, is the homage that the Japanese gave to this entire conspiracy theory. What do fish have? Fins. Therefore, they named their imaginary country Finland. Believers of this conspiracy theory believe that this map is false and that the map actually would look like this. Now, other than the fact that we have footage of Finland from an aerial view and there are two rivers, the Muonio and the Torn, separating Finland and Sweden, let's look at Rarigan's argument. First, they claim that the company Nokia is used as a vessel for this behavior and that it is a Japanese-owned brand. Nokia is not a Japanese-owned brand, it is a Finnish brand and it follows Finland governmental guidelines. As of 2008, Nokia has severed ties with Japan due to low sales. Remember, this post was made 4 years ago, so this happened before the user's post. It's hard to claim that Japan is one of the largest Nokia importers when in fact Nokia doesn't even export to Japan anymore. Another argument by this user is heavy fishing regulations in Japan. As of late, the Japanese fishing industry has been on the decline, particularly after the Cold War in the 1990s, as Rarigan points out. However, this is mainly due to overfishing. Yes, fishing regulations were implemented, particularly in the 1970s when Japan began implementing the exclusive economic zone, not allowing fishing more than 100 miles offshore. However, the Japanese had already depleted their fishing resources in their waters from heavy overfishing. Direct government legislative regulations were not implemented by Japan until December 2018 in a revision to the Japanese Fisheries Act. You could say that this was a reason for Japan to, quote, invent a country for fishing imports, for their fishing economy began declining in the 1990s. In a graph by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN on Japanese imports, however, you can see that Finland doesn't even make the top 10 of the list of imports. Conspiracy theorists may say that this is due to the United Nations wanting to hide the amount of imports from Finland. However, it is highly unlikely that the United Nations, along with Russia and Sweden, would be willing to hide an entire country from the global population, all to benefit Japan. Every pilot would also have to hide the fact that they're actually flying to eastern Sweden and not Finland if this were to be true, that Helsinki is just eastern Sweden. The claim that Japan and Russia invented Finland after the Cold War also doesn't match up with the actual timeline of Finland independence, which was 1917, while the Cold War ended in 1991. Another series of questions posed ask why Japanese-Russian relations were so good despite the Cold War. Reddit user, Purveyor of the Truth, questions why the Japanese signed a peace treaty with Russia in 1941 when Japan's allies were about to go to war with Russia. This treaty was a neutrality pact between Japan and Russia, and Purveyor of the Truth fails to mention that the treaty ended in 1945 when Russia declared war on Japan. Territorial disputes between Japan and Russia have also caused tension since World War II over the Kuril Islands. Even before this, territorial disputes were an issue between Japan and Russia over the regions of Korea and Manchuria, which is what caused the Japanese-Russo War in 1904. Today, Japan and Russia still both claim that the Kuril Islands are a part of their territory even now. This tension lasted throughout World War II and the Cold War, so the statement that relations between Japan and Russia were, quote, good, or have ever been good since the beginning of the 1900s is hard to make. Lastly, about Finland's name. In Finland, the actual name of the country is Suomi. It's unclear where the origins of this word come from, but most sources claim that it means ground or land. Another theory is that the word Suomi comes from Suoma, which means swampland in Finnish. Now, hopefully I've done a semi-good job at convincing you that Finland is real despite Reddit's arguments against it. Maybe you'll even be able to go outside and tell everyone confidently that Finland is real. Thanks for watching.
Ripping me to shreds and put me back together. You're the only one who knows how. I swear to God that you are heavenly, but angels don't break hearts, do